What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean 78904. A couple minutes late. Our apologies. We were having a conversation, myself and Kirk Dees. We were talking about his Red Sox fandom, and Tim asked him about what the Red Sox are doing. I don't know what the Red Sox are doing. I'm not sure if people know if they're buyers or sellers. I don't know if the Red Sox know if they're buyers or sellers. And of course, lots of trades are going down. I believe that you still have an hour left. Lots of nonsense going down. It's really cute that the Cubs put Contreras in the lineup. That's like he's going to play baseball for the Cubs tonight. They would be a horrific organization if they don't move him. All right,
that's like they're playing hardball with some team. They're like, we'll show them. We'll show them. We're putting Happ and Contreras in the lineup.
Who is buying that? They're like, well, I guess we'll stop. We're gonna stop calling. I guess he's playing baseball tonight, and they don't.
I'll start him. I swear to God, I'll start him tonight. It's over.
I was thinking about using Wainwright in tournaments tonight, and then I saw that lineup. I was like, I guess they're not trading anybody, so we'll see. I don't know.
I just bet Wainwright over 4.5 strikeouts before the show, so I think that lineup's going to shuffle up a little bit. It's bad as is. I think it's going to get worse. We'll see. Another one is Syndergaard is supposed to pitch tonight for the Angels. Like, come on, get out. That's not happening, right? He's getting traded, I think. Why wouldn't he? But the Angels, again, another terrible organization. We'll see. Lots of trades going down. We'll talk about it. That was Tim. Oh, Tim, is that you that wrote the article today? No, I think that was Keith. Keith is the one.
Today.
Yeah, I'll drop it in chat for the people. What up, chat? Do hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Keith is the one that put me on Wainwright. I was like, I got him at minus 115 over 4.5. I know it's Wainwright, and he's like 172 years old, but he also can go like 7-ish innings, and the Cubs should be horrific. What do you think? Do you like that bet, Tim?
No, I do bet. Yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and drop it in chat for the people. The people like the bets. He's got several takes as far as pitcher stuff, and actually, in the rare case, I got a better line than the one that's actually posted. It was posted at minus 125 on PointsBet. I got it at minus 115 on MGM. So there you go. Have at it. But Kirkwood, yeah, let's. I guess we should finish our conversation. Start at 2+ hours. We're talking a bunch of DFS, talking tonight's slate, 13 gamer, not messing around. Well, I guess what DK has the Padres game, the back half of their doubleheader. The 2021 MLB champions, as far as I can tell, according to Twitter. They also got Joey Gallo too, just for funsies. No, that was the Dodgers. Yeah. So in FanDuel, of course, they don't play those doubleheaders, but I think the back half of that San Diego one that they're playing Colorado right now, that will be on DraftKings. So that's the one game difference. But Kirkwood, talk to me about what your Red Sox are doing, and then you're all nostalgic about you had a moment not too forever ago, I suppose, out of character. It wasn't your fault though, because you were suffering from a disease.
Well, we'll get to that. Not a disease per se, but we'll get to that in a second. So first of all, it's a beautiful day to be a Red Sox fan. We went from pretenders to contenders. We needed to replace Kiki Hernandez in the outfield. We got Tommy Pham. It's comparable. And then we needed a first baseman. We got World Series champ, Gold Glover, like great locker room guy.
Sure.
I mean Eric Hosmer. So I am on just sky high today, feeling good. So we'll see how that works out. And obviously, I be honest, everyone can, the sarcasm meter can detect that.
Devers wasn't sure if he's going to resign, but now that he sees they're committed to winning,
I actually think Hosmer was he fills a void for them. They needed a
he's
first
like
baseman.
free too, right?
They needed a first baseman bad that could actually play defense. So, I mean, we have the worst. So Dahlbeck and Franchi are the two worst first basemen ever. They can't hit and they can't field, and they're the worst fielders. At least we got a glove there now, like someone who's, okay. And they had to, and the Padres had to take a bunch of that salary on. So I don't think that was a bad move at all. I think that was just an opportunistic move. So I'm fine with it. It doesn't make or break anything. So it is what it is. So I don't really care. But so then you guys were talking about how did we get into the conversation? We were talking about Marlins World Series, and you were at a game, right? Which game did you go to?
I was at the Marlins game where Alex Gonzalez hit a walk-off homer in the 10th inning down the left field line versus one of the Weaver brothers. Was it Jeff Weaver? There's two Weavers. One of the Weaver brothers for the Yankees, and also previously in that game, Roger Clemens was supposed to be his last start ever. He was supposed to retire after the season. he brushed back a then 20-year-old Miguel Cabrera, threw at his head. And like, I'm not sure it was the very next pitch, or like 2 or 3 pitches later, Miggy, 20 years old, World Series, big stage, took him yard, oppo, and it was amazing. Just an incredible game I got to catch. But yeah, I was nostalgic for that. And then you were nostalgic for completely different.
Yeah, I saw. So I just told it, and I'm actually shocked you didn't remember, because I've definitely told this story many times on Grinders Live, but I'll give it again because it's one of my best life stories. So as everyone knows, I'm a Red Sox fan. So I followed them the year that they lost in the ALCS finals to the Yanks when they went Game 7. I was there in Yankee Stadium, sitting in left field when Boone hit the homer right over my head. And they left Pedro in too long. So now, it's right when I was wearing a Manny jersey at the time. And I was with my other friend who lives in New York City. He passed away now, but lived in New York City. And he was a big Red Sox fan, that I grew up with. And so we would go to all the games together. And the ball flew right over our heads. So then everyone started screaming at us, right? Like things were like getting thrown at us because we had Red Sox gear on. And so we like bolted up the stairs like as quick as we could to try to get out of there. And all of a sudden, everyone's yelling and everything. This like 70-year-old guy jumps right in my face and went, "Ah!" like screamed at me or something. And so my only reaction was just to punch. So I punched him right in the gut, and he dropped to his knees and went, "Ah!" and we just kept booking. So I punched a 70-year-old man and dropped him to his knees in Yankee Stadium, and we bolted the hell out of there. Then the following year, I went when we won the World Series in 2004 with my friend. And my friend, who's like, he's kind of like a goody-goody, he's a little sneaky at times, but never does anything bad. And then he got into it with some fan, and he poured beer on their head in front of us, who was giving us a hard time. And so we always talked about, how do we plead if we get caught? We plead not guilty, by way of insanity, Red Sox, Yankees. And so like we always imagined being in front of the judge and me and be like, "Oh, Red Sox, Yankees. Okay. You're
Case dismissed.
Innocent. Yeah. Case dismissed. So that's my story.
Tim, can you one up that in any capacity if you knocked out a 75-year-old?
I cannot one up that at all. No, not even close.
And let me add to it. I'll one up it myself, that story. So after we bolted out of there, we were just trying to get out of the stadium as fast as we can because I assaulted a 70-year-old guy. And we ended up by the players' wives where they were all waiting. And we got in there somehow. And like, we were just like tagging around because we were like, this is so cool. Like they're going to come out. The players are going to come out. Spike Lee came skipping out and he was screaming the whole way. "They're crying in Boston. They're crying in Boston." And he yelled in our faces and everyone, and he was skipping. So that was a great memory too.
Derek in chat, he's calling you a geriatric abuser. Don Yeezy saying he's hiding his grandpa and his dad. Yeah, I mean, you said this is one of your best stories, right?
Well, I mean, it's most memorable.
Okay, yeah. Tim, what's the most ridiculous thing you've done on behalf of being a fan for your team? Do you get like goofy or ridiculous or?
I don't really have a fan of a team though, Dean.
There's not one team you're a fan of in any sport?
Nope. I don't.
How is
I
that
don't
possible?
I'm a DFS player, Dean. I don't have favorite teams.
When you were 10, what did you do?
When I was 10, I was a Red Sox fan because I'm from Maine. So I mean, yeah, but not really. I mean, I've never really got into like being behind one single team.
Wow. Okay, that's wild. If you were on the jury, you'd convict Kirk Dees here, right? You're not going to let him get off on by way of Red Sox insanity or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think you should get away with punching a 70-year-old man.
The guy literally jumped like he was like his breath was all over my face. You know what I mean? He like screamed right in my face. It was complete reaction. So I just went like just a little gut shot.
That escalated pretty quickly though.
You have to be in the moment with everybody screaming and throwing shit at you. I would not convict anybody in the same situation.
According to Derek in chat, old man breath is a punchable offense. I guess that would be your defense, I suppose. But I imagine the statute of limitations are up. Hopefully he recovered, and hopefully he's out there and he's happy about Aaron Judge or something like that these days. But Yeah, this slate today, I don't know how much you guys want to talk about. We'll talk about organically as far as the trades. Obviously, Soto went to San Diego. That's not going to affect anything DFS wise today. Luke Voigt is probably furious. He's on his way to Washington because Eric Hosmer refused to leave.
Yeah, that would be a fun. I would love to see that locker room reaction, like Hosmer walking by Luke Voigt or something.
Oh, it's probably there are revenge games, and I don't know how it's going to go down. It's not that they're pitchers or anything. But you'd have to think that Voigt is definitely not thrilled with Hosmer. San Diego, nice place to live too. DC, I'm sure, was fine. I don't know. I visited, but like obviously the situations. I would imagine that Voigt wanted to stay in San Diego, and essentially he had to go because Hosmer would not waive his no trade deal. All right, let's talk about this slate because it's a big boy. We're not messing around. A lot going on. I was going to mention the FanDuel, the RotoGrinders sponsored FanDuel single entry series. We've been talking about that. This is going to go on for 6 weeks, 8 different contests. If you, if you finish number one as far as a cumulative score, your top 4 scores throughout the week, Monday through Sunday, you finish number one in a particular threshold. We have the $100 and the $2, but you got to be quick. You got to pounce because that $100 contest is already gone in FanDuel. The $2 one is still lurking. I think there's some spots yet to be claimed. Yeah, about 500 or so spots left for the $2 version. Again, it's $50,000 in added value. It's the contest is standard as far as the payout and all that, and it's a single entry. Love that contest. The $100 in there. You got to get in early. Basically, is the long story short on that one. That's already gone, and the $2 is going to be gone very soon. If you want to play that tonight, feel free to have at it. Tim, we got a lot of pitchers tonight. A lot of good pitchers. Jacob deGrom's back in our live. Of course, he's going to be on a bit of a pitch count. He'll also be facing kind of sort of a quad A team, whatever's left of Washington, the scraps. But, I guess we can start there with DeGrom, but they're asking full price and you're not going to get a full lot. But it pitches and there's opportunity costs as far as pitchers. So, give me the sales pitch on DeGrom. I'm probably not playing him, but I guess he could go 5 and strike out 10. That's possible.
You said it perfectly, Dean. I'm not going to play DeGrom tonight, but it really would not shock me if he threw a perfect game, like in 5 innings. 5 innings, 8 strikeouts, no hits, no walks. So take that for what you want. This Nats lineup is going to be just absolutely terrible. So you could make the argument to roster him maybe in a sprinkle in a 150 build, but I just can't get to him in a 3 max or single entry format.
I'm surprised Cruz is still there. I thought he would get traded as well. I don't know how much, they were not going to get much for him, 43, whatever he is these days. But what's the point? There's no reason to see what you got in Nelson Cruz, but he's still hanging on, far as I can tell, in Washington. But the projected lineup is gross. Robles, Hernandez, Cruz, Garcia, Ruiz, Franco, Vargas, and Thomas. It's really, really bad. Your thoughts there, Curtis, as far as DeGrom, and then, of course, we should talk about
to it. I guess the only thing I looked into was that he threw 67 in his final rehab start, and so people always project that up to 80. But I just think it would be stupid to even let him go 80. I figure go 70 pitches, and keep building with this guy. But the Mets are stupid. The way that they've always handled their pitchers, they've always been horrendous. So maybe they will let him go, but I'm not going there.
T from LOC said, I look like an extra from Wild Hogs. That is a random reference. That's Martin Lawrence, William H. Macy, Tim Allen, and one other guy. I don't remember. There's 2 Wild Hogs. Somebody walked out of Wild Hogs and said, you know what? I need to see more of this. There's a sequel to that movie, inexplicably for some reason. Yeah. So let's talk about the real pitchers here, Kirkwood. The ones that you like the most, and a lot of it's salary dependent to some reason. For some reason that the Strider just gets no respect, especially on DK. He's super, super cheap over there. If you want to spend a fair bit of money, you got Burns, but the Burns price on DK is too cheap on FanDuel. A little bit more of a point you're put to 11.3K over there. Distinct difference as far as guys like Gausman. We talked about, Javier is 9.7 against your Boston Red Sox, which are pretty putrid. Who do you want to start with? Who's your favorite pitcher, all things considered, on this slate?
Man, Corbin Burns has to be the number one just because he should be so safe. I mean, Pittsburgh is just awful, right? So they're Pittsburgh second in K percentage, 21st in ISO, 28th in WRC plus. Burns is the guy with the biggest track record. His Ks have been a little bit down this season, but he's still almost at about 33%. It should just be smooth sailing for him. Now he hasn't been as good as we could count on him last year. I mean, last year he was just ridiculous. But I think all things considered, he's the one I want to get to first. Now, I love Spencer Strider. I always play ridiculous amounts of Spencer Strider. I think he's ridiculous. He's kind of limited in pitches, but it's all about control with him. If he has control, and then he's gonna rack strikeouts up. The only thing, and he has the high strikeout rate on the slate, right, at like 37%.
Yeah.
In Philly, it's kind of a average matchup. They're 15th in K percentage, but So the only thing I worry about there is the dew point. My dew point model system gave me a little flash. We just incorporated flash warnings, so it's not like just and it's not like just a heat flame symbol like Roth's. Ours flashes, right? So it's pretty good. So I like that. So that's the only problem is the humidity is high over there. The temperature is high. It's almost up to 90 degrees. So I worry a little bit, but I still think he's going to do fine. So he's my second guy. There's Javier against Boston, right? Like Boston, I mean, morale has to be pretty low today, but at least we still, as of right now, we still have Devers and Bogarts. Will they move JD? I'm interested to see what happens with that, tonight. Javier is fine. It's the K upside. And then there's Gaussman. Gaussman on some systems is projecting as the highest projected pitcher on the slate. He's been a little weird lately. Hasn't been his full self. He was tipping pitches. He was injured. His last start, his whip is terrible. Walks and hits per inning. It's just been really high this year. But he got completely babbipped, and also there was really bad defense in that game. My notes show. So I think he's coming around, and this is a good spot for him tonight. So Tampa Bay strikes out a ton. They're fourth in K percentage against right-handers. They're not the most deadliest lineup. They've been dealing with a bunch of injuries. So I think Gaussman's ready to go. So I like that. And then the cheap one is Giolito. So that's where I am. And then we can talk further. There's some, a little bit out there plays with potentially Wainwright, McKenzie, Tyler Anderson, Cole Irvin. But I think it stops at Giolito for me. So, and that's risky, but we'll get into that.
You mentioned your dew point, which of course you're still in beta. Eventually, one of these days, but the projected 2027, give or take, when is that coming out? The model.
Whenever we get this patent through.
They're notorious for not giving patents to those that knock out 70-year-olds, and that's probably what's holding up the works.
I wonder. I mean, if they did a background check potentially.
But weather-wise, you mentioned it. There's a lot of fire emojis. If you check out Kevin Roth's Weather Edge, by the way, Roth is back today. I believe Cards hosted yesterday, played the role of Roth as the host. I believe Cards is an analyst, as well as either Cardi or Cheese, one of those two. Either way, you're in good hands. But fire emoji for the Yankees, that's just what Aaron Judge needs. Fire emoji for the Mets against the Nats. Several other, I believe, too. Yeah, Minnesota's got the fire emoji. Detroit versus Minnesota. 93 degrees, kind of a crosswind as well, too. I like the Cardinals today. They're at the Cardinals. They couldn't get rid of Dylan Carlson. I know Juan Soto is like a generational talent, and he's 23 years old, and never at any point in the history of the world has a prospect been this young and this good and this available. And they're like, we got to keep Dylan Carlson.
I can't believe that even became a factor in that trade deal. Why would that even matter? That makes no sense to me at all. Get Juan Soto if you can. It's crazy. It's crazy to me.
I mean, again, it's reporting, and who knows how true that may or may not be. But assuming that is true, I cannot imagine, Tim, the idea of being we would do this, and we would have Juan Soto. Again, you're getting him from age 23 to 26, whatever it is, and hopefully you sign him even beyond that. The best years, and he's only getting better. And what's gumming it up is Dylan Carlson, he's got a 103 WRC plus. So he's a fine player. He's not terrible, and now it's unfair because now forever people are going to be they're going to hold it against him. Like, well, you're not Juan Soto. It's not his fault.
Right. Like, that's what I was just going to say. Like, forever now, he's going to be tainted by what Juan Soto does, And it's like, he just, Carlson was just playing baseball, and now he's always going to be, like, connected with that trade.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's obviously, it's not a 1v1 either. There was other guys in the mix, of course.
Right.
White Sox also getting the fire emoji. Man, that game let me down. Your boy had a rough day. I did not play Aaron Judge. I bet a lot on the Royals White Sox game over. We got to get back. We got to get back to even today.
Dude, the White Sox are so pathetic.
They're
and then, it has to come from the top down when your manager is literally falling asleep in the first inning of the ball game because he's drunk.
He's 678. Well, do you want to knock out Tony La Russa by chance for no particular reason, or?
He's probably got some good old man strength in him,
I was talking to somebody.
I think that's a fair fight, actually. I think.
So, he's obviously good buddies. The only reason why he's there is he's a good old boy, and he's a good buddy with Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner. There's really no reason why he should still be in. And they dress him up in uniform. Like, it's so funny the way they do that with old managers or any managers. Why are they in uniform and cleats and the whole deal? But what else? What can he get away with? He fell asleep yesterday. Can he eat like a meatball sandwich? Like, what else can this guy do in the dugout without he's never going to get fired. It's not going to happen. He's got to walk away on his own. And it's just a bizarre question, but I picture him doing all sorts of funny things, and there's no repercussions because he's buddies at Reinsdorf, and who cares?
You know what was an electric? It was an electric show yesterday.
What's that?
Was the Crunch Time with Cheese versus Cardi.
That was awesome. I
loved it, man. I mean, so many things I wanted to say, but I just let Cheese do it, and it was and regardless of the outcome, I just loved the conversation.
But eating 2000 to play Clevenger turned out to be the correct play.
Scoreboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy a healthy disagreement. I feel like we probably agree too much, and I don't want to do it first take wise. Well, you get this side and I get that side. It's got to be organic and legit on the up and up. But yeah, I like a healthy disagreement. It's good. I think it's fun to watch. At least myself and Kirk Dees agree.
He could not have claimed he won because then everybody bombards with the small sample, and then he has to eat his own words on that. So.
Oh, wait, so producer Steve, Met fan, producer Steve chiming in saying that the outcome was right. Scherzer did much better than Gray. Was he arguing Gray over Scherzer?
Oh, he did. He did. Well, the same point stood. It just Cheese happened to say Scooball or Clevenger. But he also said Scooball. But it was just the same. It would have said the same thing. It would have said to play John Gray over him. John Gray projected higher.
I would have considered playing DeGrom if he was pitching on yesterday's slate. I know it's not possible, and I know obviously they're both in the Mets, but yesterday it fell off much quicker than it does today. That's why DeGrom is probably not somebody that's going to work his way into my pitching pool. And of course I don't play enough teams either. And we got 80 projected pitches according to the bat. I thought I saw a note on Twitter for 75, 75 to 80 either way. I'm probably not getting there. He's got to be crazy efficient. What are you playing today, Tim? I assume you're doing your single entry, 3-entry max. Are we on Fanduel, DK, both, one or the other?
Both of them. Yep.
Talk to me about the difference the two sites are as far as ownership, and I can kind of jump around as far as ownership. And Burns distinctly cheaper on DK, 10-1, which just seems too cheap against a terrible Pittsburgh lineup, and that's why he's number one ownership wise at 33-34%. Strider too cheap, 8.3K. Philadelphia. There's some power in that lineup, but that just seems way too cheap. And you consider his upside as far as strikeout ability. And Gausman versus Tampa. Just want to acknowledge that Tampa lineup. I know they lost Phillips, who was a big strikeout guy, but they added Siri from Houston. 31% strikeouts, not a lot of power, 139 at bats versus righty. So loaded with strikeouts today for Gausman, 26.1% collectively as far as striking out versus righties the last two seasons. You got Raleigh in there at 36%, Walls at 29%. Rosarena leading off at 27, 28, Lau at 25. The two biggest contact guys are Paredes at 18 and Peralta at 20. New Ray David Peralta. Lots of potential strikeouts there. Great ballpark to pitch in as well. Talk me through your thought process and how it's different by the sites. Obviously, Tim, you only roster one as opposed to two on DK.
Yeah, so I'm really, really taking a hard look at Gaussman for FanDuel. I think that $1,000 makes a big enough difference for like a single entry or cash game type contest. Obviously, Spencer Strider's price is very enticing. He's got a huge K rate, like you guys already mentioned. I think that you could play him in a cash game scenario, but I think that I'd prefer to have the safety of Gaussman or Burns. On DK, I think you've got to start your SP1 with Burns, and then you can make the decision whether or not you want to go Gaussman or Strider. And then you have like Javier or Giolito for tournaments. I think the bottom line is though today is that you should keep like a really, really condensed pitcher pool and then spread out at offense, because I think as we break down the bats, there isn't like one particular team that's like that much better than the other, and it's a big, big slate. So if you are going to be making multiple teams today, then I would spread out your bats and make a stand at pitching.
Tim, hypothetically, you're making 20 lineups today. Pitchers that are in the pool. Tell me when they're not. Burns, I assume, is in. Strider is in. Gaussman is in. Christian Javier is in. Yes?
Yes.
Is Tristan McKenzie in the pool?
Not for me. I wouldn't do it.
He's like the same price as all those other guys, and he's like fine, but I don't know if I get there at 20 teams. What do you think, Kirkwood? If you're making 20 teams, hypothetically, Tristan McKenzie, does he make the pool for you?
Yeah, I think he does, actually. I think he's going to be extremely low owned. I think he's flashed upside. He does have K stuff. Overall in the season, it doesn't look great with sub 24% K percentage, but the matchup with Arizona is great. They're 11th in K percentage, 25th in WRC plus. So I think, there's definitely range of outcomes where he could end up being like one of the top arms on the slate tonight. And so, yeah, why not play him? What
about on FanDuel, Kurt, at 10-1?
Yeah, I didn't even rank him over there, but I was thinking more on DK. He's still he's overpriced on DK still. I mean, he's 9.8K on DK. So, I would probably just lean more on DraftKings, but I think you can do it. I mean, it's just extremely low ownership with a guy who does have some upside.
Also, there are some Ks in that lineup. Seth Beer is back in our lives for Arizona, strikes out a ton. Kelly strikes out a good bit. I'm not sure if it's Alcantara or Alcantara. I know the one about the Marlins. I'm not sure if it's pronounced, universally that way, or it depends on the person. Couldn't say. But yeah, it's not a spectacular lineup for Arizona, obviously. I like Walker for a sneaky homer, by the way. The fly balls for McKenzie and reverse splitsy as well. We're not talking hitters just yet. I'm the only person, Kirkwood, that did not rank McKenzie on DK. I'd probably put him 9. I also have Syndergaard at 8 right now, just as I don't know if he's playing tonight. I assume he's not, but he hasn't been traded to the best of my knowledge, and we have 30 minutes till the deadline ends.
What I wanted to know is if those stolen base props were still up this morning again on DK.
So I did not look for him because I thought it was a trap. I know they're down on some sites. Superbook, I hit them pretty good, and I know a lot of people hit them even harder, as far as parlays and stuff. But I think the books are finally catching on that they just weren't very sharp when it comes to stolen base props, and especially when Syndergaard, they're just, I don't know if they don't have the manpower, or they never really thought about it. You'd think that red flags. Why is everybody always betting stolen bases against Syndergaard? But I know some sites just kind of shut it down. But I didn't look today because I did not want to get stuck with A's to try bases against the pitcher, probably a bullpen game. I don't even know. So, there would be no edge to that, or an anti-edge. So that's why I didn't look. But
big week for us here in Massachusetts with the sports.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to hit one of those Drizzy Dre parlays,
I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
You know what I love that he says, and he says round robin them too. You know how much a round robin would be? That's a lot of money. All those plays, it's hilarious.
But I want them by 9s, 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, and 14s. That's a billion combinations.
I know we need Blender to figure out the combos. But.
I love it. He's like, tonight's the night, man. Tonight's the night I'm going to hit it. And he said, like, I haven't followed along, but he says he's gotten really, really close to hitting him, which is amazing because he has like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different combinations in there. And obviously you hit one, you're sitting pretty and you're good to go. But yeah, I have Syndergaard rank 8, right? Because, he's facing Oakland and he's fine. And he's cheap. He's pretty cheap, actually, 7K on DK. That would be it, right, Kirkwood? If they're not traded in the next half hour, I guess some stuff will come through, but we will know. Like I saw somebody in chat talking about Contreras, being potentially sneaky because people are afraid to play him. Like if he plays tonight, if he starts the game, they're not going to hook him in like the third inning because the deadline's passed, right? Unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I have no interest in Syndergaard in any way, but and he's always. I just don't see the upside. He's always literally one base runner away from just imploding. Like he just implodes, like because he can't stop the stolen bases, and then he just melts down. But he gets ground balls. The guy I would go to like Cole Irvin if I was looking for something like cheap, low owned. He's pitched very well recently. And we know that the Angels, add a bunch of strikeouts to pretty much any pitcher, even if they're a low strikeout pitcher, they still end up usually getting a bunch of Ks against them. So I would take the other side.
Man, yeah. Irvin just not a great strikeout pitcher, obviously. A good control guy, I'll give him that. But the Angels lineup is going to be terrible. They lost. They traded Brandon Marsh, which was kind of Philadelphia thinks Brandon Marsh is useful to them. One-time, big-time prospect, but obviously he's been pretty dreadful in the majors so far. I think they traded did David Robertson go to Philadelphia as well? The reliever for Chicago? We have in chat, Izzy says, trade deadline is just for submission, so some won't go through for hours. It takes that long to go through? I don't know. I feel like typically the deadline used to be like at 4 or 5 o'clock, and we're stretching it to 6, which kind of cuts it close with some games. You got anything that's not on this, Tim?
I don't know. I don't know if like it takes hours, but I do remember like guys getting like pulled off the field like after the actual deadline was over. I don't exactly know like what the details of that is, but I'm pretty sure it's not just like 6 o'clock and it's over. But I'm not positive about it. But either way though, like I wouldn't like I'm not gonna play the Cubs. So I don't really care about that rare situation.
Agreed. I was just thinking that in the context of like anything, but that's a good. I'm not playing Contreras either.
I think that person in the chat is like sort of right. Like I don't know if it takes like hours, but I don't think it's like a dead set 6 o'clock.
Well, for the Oakland Angels game, that's got to be 2 or 3 hours after lock. I'm assuming that's West Coast, and we're talking about. Let's see, 9:30 start. Like, we'll know if Syndergaard was traded by the time that game starts. Yes?
Yes. I would assume that's, yes.
Brett Phillips, who I picked up by the Orioles. Thank God I could stop playing Jake Lamb. He was traded to the Mariners. Good Lord. He had a lot of barrels. And he just missed so many different times, it seems like. But, yeah.
He was like the free square, though, for your Dodgers stacks. Like, it was like a good, solid way to get 5 points. For $2,200.
Kirkwood, talk to me about Lucas Giolito. What's making him most interesting? There's a name brand there. Obviously, the Royals aren't especially good, and 6.8K. That's a if you need a salary saver, if you need a cheapie, I'm first looking to go double barrel. That's my general approach. If I can make it work as far as the bats, but if I want to spend it for a couple big boys as far as the hitters, is Giolito your favorite cheapie? How do you feel about Lucas?
So the big thing with him has been performance, number one, and his fastball velocity. So his fastball has been around 91 miles per hour for a couple of starts now. And so normally everyone's, been saying like take a wait and see approach with him until let's see his velocity back up, which is usually around 93 to 94. And no, it wasn't. Now his last start was in Coors and his other pitches were working pretty good. He only gave up 3 runs. He did throw 104 pitches, so you got to like the pitch count potential. But, you're playing him with just like hope. The right thing to do is if you're looking at numbers and where he's been lately and everything, you don't play this guy and you stack against him. But, he does have a long-term track record. If his velocity's back up, he could be good. But I think if he's going to be chalky tonight, which he is, because for the cheap play, I think you shouldn't be playing him.
What's your thoughts there, Tim, as far as Giolito? I assume you're like me where you want to get two of the better pitchers before. Worst case scenario, he's the guy I might step down to, but it's uncomfortable. What's your Giolito take? And I think it's more of a DK thing than a Fanduel thing.
Yeah, there's no way I would roster him on Fanduel in any kind of format, but it's not like he's going to be unowned, which concerns me even more. Like we have projected for 15% ownership on a 14-game slate. That does not thrill me in the least. I'd almost rather pitch Adam Wainwright at 5% ownership and just try to make we get some leverage that way. I just don't think he's really going to be like. If you're 150 maxing, he kind of has to be in your player pool just because of the price and because the matchup is okay. But I wouldn't get too carried away with it. Like, if I'm looking at if he's really going to be 15% owned, I might put him in like 7%, like be half the field. But I wouldn't completely fade him if I'm doing a full script. But there's no way I'm rostering him. I'm a lot like you, Dean. I try to find a way to double pay up at pitching. That's just the way that I play. I don't like that ownership. That's too high.
Talk to me about Javier. I think you kind of mentioned him in passing, but let's add some color to that conversation. Christian Javier against whatever's left of Boston. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think Fan may join the team today. Actually, he might be available. Ownership-wise, Tim, if you're going to trust our projections, got to give it a refresh, but on FanDuel, we're looking at Javier, 9.7K, less than 9% owned. On DK, we're looking at, let's see. Obviously, we got Burns. Nope, I'm on FanDuel again. Let me jump to DK. Of course, the ownership's going to be higher. You got a roster 2. We have Javier at 20%, lower than Gausman, lower than Strider, lower than Burns. Is that correct? Or do you think that he basically is just as good as those guys?
I think that's for the most part correct. I think he makes for a fantastic FanDuel tournament play. He would be a real good, pivot off of some of the more chalky plays. The Red Sox, I think the Red Sox get kind of a bad rap. Like, I know that they're having a real bad year, but they're not quite as bad as the kind of public perceives them. But Javier is he's a really talented pitcher, and his price is affordable. So I think he makes for a real good contrarian play today.
Kirkwood, I'm looking at your rankings right now on DK, myself, Grant, Dave Potts did it as well. Consensus-wise, Javier is third behind Burns and Strider. Obviously, salary considered. We got Gausman 4th. Giolito is 5th. Talk to me about Javier there, Kirkwood, as far as your third favorite pitcher on DK. A little bit more than Strider. Nice savings off of Burns, a little bit of a savings off Gausman as well.
I think he's a very good play. I mean, what bad is there to really say? It's just that his command can be a little off sometimes, and he can have a bad start. But the K's upside is there. He's got a 33.6% on the season. Boston lineup is not very intimidating. They should get Devers back tonight. So we'll wait and see. But I mean. Yeah, I'm on board for sure. It's a good spot to pitch.
Is Christian Vasquez given all the secrets? He just jumped over, changed dugouts, went from Boston to Houston. Is he? He's not playing tonight?
Great point.
Yeah, is he basically gonna say like this is how we should pitch all these guys? Well, it didn't work last night unless he didn't say anything because they lost to Boston. But yeah, I mean, who knows how to quantify that? But that's got to be something at least. He was actually, I saw a report. He was in like the meeting that was talking about how. Boston is going to either pitch to these guys, the players meeting, the hitters meeting, and they still lost. I don't know. It's just sort of interesting how that works, but it can't hurt, right, to have Vasquez's brain. He knows those Red Sox pretty well.
Yeah, great point, Dean.
I mean, are you saying that sarcastically? Why are you saying it like that?
No, it's a great point.
I
have no idea whether it's true or not.
I don't know either. I'm just throwing it out in the universe, and I know some people believe like in the catchers facing pitchers they used to catch a lot.
I believe in that.
I believe in that too. I believe in that quite a bit. I mean, I can't quantify it. I have no stats behind that, but I totally believe in that.
I think it's a thing too, but again, I have no way of quantifying it. I wonder if Cardi has a thought on it. Question here in chat. Throw out some questions that pertain to the conversation. We're going to talk hitters in a second, obviously. Tim, Alan's got a question. Strider or Javier, SP2, DK, single entry?
I mean, it's the right answer is Strider, but if you want to be like a little bit more contrarian, then go Javier.
I also think pitching in a dome matters.
I think the dome was closed too in Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that matters.
And can I also say real quick for that person that asked that question, a lot of that depends on what the Red Sox lineup's going to be. So like if they get Devers back, if Pham is in the lineup, that's a significant downgrade for Javier. So, you might want to just take a wait and see approach on that answer because if the Red Sox lineup is, real watered down, then you could make a stronger case for Javier.
Man, it's gotten quiet as far as the stove, man. We've seen nothing. Wait, I got a ding. Is that a lineup or is that a transit?
Michael Fulmer traded to the Twins.
Whoa!
Did you miss Jake Lamb too? Traded to the Mariners?
No, I went on a whole rant about it. I don't know what you were thinking about. We talked about Lamb for a good 2 minutes.
No idea.
Was Michael Fulmer like in the bullpen for Detroit?
Pretty sure.
Okay, yeah. He used to be a starter that was kind of sort of somewhat interesting, and he had some arm trouble. Twins also picked up Mlb, so he should help them make a run, I suppose. What else is worth acknowledging here as far as the pitchers here, Kirkwood? I know we talked about basically everything. Like Gallen's on this slate, but he's going to be completely ignored, and mostly rightfully so. Alex Wood's kind of sort of somewhat cheap, and I don't really want to pick on the Dodgers. There are a bunch of lefties there, obviously. They added Joey Gallo. He had to get out of New York, and they have a bunch of lefties now as far as the Dodgers that have been different degrees of disappointing. The shift really, really hurts Gallo, obviously. Also, hitting baseballs can be hard, too. Anything else here, Kirkwood, as far as pitchers that's worth breaking down and getting into?
I think Gallen could be fine. It's a low strikeout matchup, but he could have an efficient outing against Cleveland, and his price is just kind of cheap. And when he's the guy that like when he's on, he can rack up Ks. And now they have Oscar Gonzalez back, and I mean this is a very beatable lineup. Just the K stuff is a little disappointing. So I can get behind that. I think Tyler Anderson, someone was asking in chat. I think he's going to go extremely, unowned, but it's still a good strikeout matchup against San Francisco, a top 10 strikeout matchup. He's pitched very well, not from a strikeout standpoint, just from an overall, maybe he's getting lucky standpoint, but I think that could work out. I think so. Basically, my top 4 is Burns, Strider, Javier, Gausman. If you want to go for it, you can throw some Giolito if you need the savings. I think if he's going to be chalky, you should probably stay away. The other guys that I have interest in I wrote down was Wainwright, Anderson, McKenzie, and Cole Irvin.
Yeah, question in chat from Stan. We kind of talked about it as far as interest in Syndergaard. And Tim, I guess he's interesting if he plays. We'll see if he plays. And as of right now,
I would prefer Wainwright, just so I have my thoughts out there. Like if you're looking for Syndergaard, I'd rather just pay the extra for Wainwright. That's just my take, though.
Are you assuming that Hap, Contreras, 1 or 2 gets traded as far as Chicago, or you don't care? You like Wainwright just fine anyway?
Well, I mean, let's put this. I mean, it would be better if those guys got traded. And the other point I want to make is that I don't love Wainwright, but I think he should be part of your 150 max pool, and I think you should have more of him than Syndergaard.
Let's see what else is going on in the chat. See if we have anything else pitching wise, or we can move on and talk about some hitters. Let's see. Danny wants to know Sheets for cash. I guess that's Gavin Sheets. I haven't really thought about Gavin Sheets for cash. You playing cash tonight, Tim? Probably not, right?
I am. Yeah, I always play a little bit of my bankroll in cash. Batting 8, I think you can do better than that. That's my take. I think that you'll find enough value that you can find somebody better than Sheets.
Yeah, he's probably he's shooting for a homer. You can get a homer out of Sheets, of course. Keller was scratched yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if that's like he's on the trade block, or I'm not really sure what's going on there, but Keller was scratched, and then Lynch came in there and pitched pretty well. Tony La Russa, somebody he doesn't know. Maybe he found out today what happened, but pretty ugly game there. Kansas City, Chicago, I think it was 2-1. Give me the summary, Tim. I know you're kind of repeating yourself, but again, people jump in and out of the show. People come on maybe 10, 15 minutes ago. They might have missed some of your the thoughts, some of your takes pitching wise. I'm with Kirkwood. The 4 he mentioned are probably the ones I'm basically going to stick to. How about yourself? What do you want to say as far as final thoughts when it comes to pitchers?
His top 4 were exactly the same as my top 4. Burns, Gausman, Strider, Javier. I really think that you could maybe do a little bit of DeGrom. If he's going to be 16%, I wouldn't go that high. I'd be under that, but I still think you can do a couple DeGrom lineups. If I'm looking to get lower, I would like to go to Wainwright as my cheaper kind of contrarian play. I am quite bearish on Giolito, but I get it. He's so cheap, but I wouldn't get too carried away with it.
Trying to keep an eye on Twitter. According to Matt in chat, apparently the Phillies are close on Syndergaard. Again, I don't know why the Angels wouldn't move him. I don't know why the Cubs would move Contreras. I believe this is the last year of his contract. What is the point? TJ just jumped in and he wanted the summary. So there you go, Tim. TJ appreciates your summary. Anything else worth saying here, Kirkwood, as far as pitchers, or shall we talk about some stacks?
Let's move it over to bets.
Do want to mention before we do that, talking about NFL preseason. It's happening. I believe there's a game on Thursday, the Hall of Fame game. I think there's like a showdown slate. If you're a wild man, if you're a lunatic, you just want to have a good time. There's allegedly, I'm told, there are edges in preseason. Sean Newsham, PSU fans 2. He's bringing his extensive analysis to RG this season. Used top-of-the-line projections to build your winning lineups right here in the Lineup HQ tool. My understanding is that preseason football, as well as everything else, all under the the RG Premium umbrella. There's no extra charges. Whatever's going down that day or that week. You got the baseball, you got football on layaway, college football, of course, is coming, F1, golf, MMA, all the goods under premium. You can go ahead and check that out. Discord, of course, is up to date as well. Last minute changes, and there are absolutely last minute changes in preseason. Sometimes after the game locks every once in a while. Yeah, that guy's just not going to play. And you want to be in the Discord and where people are sharing information, and they're all over Twitter. If you're playing the preseason slate, it's going down Thursday. I think is it just a one gamer, or isn't it the Hall of Fame game? You guys follow this stuff? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I just really hope that sports betting they said it's but potentially could be launched by the start of football season, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's probably going to be sometime next year, but I'm really hoping it happens, especially with the new baby. It's going to be harder to drive.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably just load it up in the car seat and go, but
Jason Stark apparently tweeted out that Syndergaard's going to Philadelphia. If we're going to trust Matt and Chad, I think Matt's all over it. I don't know. Do I follow Jason Stark? Let's go ahead and find this. Let's confirm that that's what's going down. Phillies have traded Mickey Moniak in a second prospect to the Angels for Syndergaard. Sources tell The Athletic. So apparently that's going down. Not surprising. I feel like we're going to get at least 4 or 5 or 6, a slew of stuff more coming in as we're closing in on the deadline. 10 minutes to report it to the league, that kind of thing. So going to be all over that. Be aware as far as scratches and things of that sort. What is this? Toronto Blue Jays are acquiring right-hander Mitchell White. Oh, Mitch White. I don't know him as Mitchell White. I know that's like his very formal name, Mitch White. Dodger pitcher is going
there
to.
There it is. Syndergaard to the Phils.
Syndergaard to the Phillies.
Yeah. Who knows who's pitching for the Angels tonight? Might be a bullpen game, but just kind of be aware of such things. And your stolen base bets that you bought earlier today, you thought you were all savvy, probably not so great anymore. Because whoever it is that's going to be pitching is not nearly as horrific as Thor when it comes to holding on at runners.
This slate has a lot of it reminds me of a basketball slate, like backloading your lineup so you have all the info. It's kind of a different type of baseball slate.
But what can we really is Lip Is Lip going to strike lightning twice with the A's tonight?
I don't know. By the way, I see.
By the way, I'm pulling for. I want to have another. We're gonna keep martingaling this, and I'm probably gonna.
I told you that you're gonna do. You're not gonna pay me, and eventually.
Well, no. If you demand it, I will pay.
I'm not demanding it.
If we want to keep, what are we betting on?
If we want to keep martingaling it, now you got to realize how bad I'm getting my money in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm gonna bet on Lip, who's probably going to play you in a head-to-head with an Oakland stack, whatever that may be on Friday.
So, Tim, if you're not aware, the hashtag Beat Me Dean contest, what we do is we give away, basically, I will send out a tweet probably tomorrow. All you got to do is respond to the tweet, and you got to call me out and say you want to take me on head-to-head. I'll play on your turf. I'll play Fanduel. I'll play DraftKings. That's it. I'm not playing Yahoo. I don't time to make lineups for every contest, every slate. I can't play against you.
Scared of me.
Yes. I don't want to play you head-to-head on Yahoo. Why do I want to do that? That's a road game. You're favored by, 7 points or something like that. The crowd's going to be on your side as well, too. Boston crowd, too. I don't want to mess with them. Tim, I'm not sure if you're aware we run this contest, and, I will pick one person, and, we have a head-to-head contest. If that person beats me, Tim, they don't get 1 week, they don't get 2, they don't get 3, they don't get 4. You know what? This week, we're going to make it was a month. We're going to make it 5 weeks. 5 weeks of RG Premium. That's all you have to do is beat me as a head-to-head contest. You get 5 weeks. You can't put a price on that. I mean,
you should play Broccoli Boy. Where's Broccoli Boy?
Oh, Broccoli Boy's always calling me out too. Oh,
yeah.
But you got to respond to the tweet. It's not that difficult. Respond to the tweet, and I'll call somebody out at random. And I appreciate those that have participated. We're gonna keep doing this just as long as there's people are responding. We're having a good time with it. But what happened is Kirkwood bet against me. The audacity. He backed his boy Herbert Good. Actually, he backed somebody else too. I can't remember who it was before that. Naked HD. He backed Naked HD, who I beat.
I mean, how do you not back Naked HD?
that's getting in your money good.
I mean, they work so hard.
He martingaled. He doubled down on his boy Herbert Good. He nominated him. Like, all right, I'll take your word for it. This guy's going to put up a legit lineup. And both of us put up bad lineups for the record. I barely skated by, but I'm still undefeated. I'm going on my Jordan streak.
Jordan Montgomery got traded to the Cardinals.
Oh, man, I'm sure STL Cards is going to be on later. He's going to be fuming. He's talking about the Cardinals trading for like Chad Cool. So they got Jordan Montgomery and Jose Quintana.
What's wrong with I mean, that certainly helps them a little bit. I don't know what they've given up, but
not Dylan Carlson. I mean, he's not going to be thrilled about that. Like life is about expectations. When you're expecting the possibility of Soto and you get Jose Quintana and Jordan Montgomery, he's also like not very good. Yeah. Anyways,
he's just like completely average.
Anyway, we're going to run this down.
Good changeup.
Michael Givens going to the Mets.
Wow. Why did they get Harrison Bader?
Yeah. Harrison
Bader went where? He was a part of the Yankee deal. Interesting. Okay. Is he useful as like a platoon guy, I guess, maybe?
He's like a good guy to have for like second base and extra innings. Pinch run.
Billy Hamilton's not available.
Yeah, man, that should be some team should just have him for just, that purpose.
I think he's still on the Marlins.
Why wouldn't you do that? Was one roster spot really matter?
It does. One roster spot is useful.
But like, especially if you get into like a playoff scenario where you have to have a run in extra innings, like that's a lot of equity right there.
Marlins are not moving Pablo Lopez. He was supposedly dangled out there, but I guess they didn't like whatever deals are offered that way. He's officially staying. We're now at the point where the reports are guys not being moved. And Contreras is outrageous if the Cubs don't move him. Like, get anything for the guy. What are you doing? It just that seems outrageous that you're going to get nothing for the guy. But all right. Hey, let's talk about stacks, Tim. Who are your favorite stacks tonight?
Atlanta, the New York Mets, the Brewers, and I also on DK, I like the Padres quite a bit, and I'm wondering how much they're actually going to be owned because it's the last game of the night, second game of a doubleheader, and it's Jose Arena going for Colorado, so I always want to get exposure to that. I think they would be like my favorite, large field GPP stat.
currently 3-3, by the way. Colorado versus San Diego, top of the 5th, and that game is only available on DK. I'm certain it's not on Fanduel, correct? I'm fairly certain.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Kirkwood. I don't know if there's a clear-cut favorite stack. One that rises above everybody else. I will say our consensus has the Mets first. Good ballpark in Washington, obviously. Then we got Atlanta, Minnesota. Good weather there in Minnesota. Good pitchers, both sides to pick on, to be honest. Milwaukee, who I was the only one who did not rank Milwaukee. I think they're fine. They probably win my 6. I got St. Louis higher than everybody else. I got them 3. And then Houston. I was hoping Mancini would be in the lineup, and I don't know if you guys saw the note about Mancini, but how much better the ballpark bump is for him. The Crawford box is down there for left field line. He would have, I think, 11 more home runs this year if all of his games took place in Houston. The way they moved those fences in Baltimore, he's had so many balls just die on the warning track there. And Crawford boxes in Houston are like 310 or 312. They're not that high. Love that acquisition for Houston. And they improved their catching situation as well too, 2 of their weaker hitting spots. But what do you have here, Kirkwood, as far as stacks tonight?
So I think the Mets are the number 1 stack, and my reasoning being, this is a bullpen game for Washington. Washington's bullpen is terrible, and it's a great park, and you got to think morale is absolutely as low as it can be for a lot of these guys after shipping away their best players. So I love the Mets. Now also with the Washington's like the 5th highest xFIP for relief pitching. They're also, right there, like 7th in Sierra. They're top 5 in home runs per 9 allowed. So I think the Mets are great. Milwaukee, I really like. Also, this is another, first of all, Wilson is just horrendous. He's horrendous against left-handers, especially. He's bad against both, but really bad against lefties. He's allowed a 444 WOBA, 255 ISO, and with a K rate of 13.8%. So you have to Yelich has struggled, but I don't mind playing. I kind of pick my spots with him, and he's priced fine. So I kind of like Yelich and Colton Wong. Vogelbach is in play. I hate him. Team Girth for you. You gotta love. I know he's one of your boys, but he's probably not going to be pinch hit for tonight. They just don't have any lefties on the roster. Can you look that up and verify that, Dean? You're good with that.
Let me double check. Yeah, but also the other thing is they traded JD Davis, the guy that would pinch hit for him, for Ruff, which, by the way, I love that platoon. Those guys are going to be hitting for each other coming up. Lefty comes in, it's Ruff. Righty comes in, it's Vogelbach. I think that's a great trade for the Mets, actually. But Davis is the guy they shipped out. So he's not
as of today, Patrick Corbin was the only left-handed pitcher who pitched yesterday on their roster.
How did they not force Corbin in that deal? How did they not salary dump him? I don't understand that one. They should have made it
Whit Merrifield got traded.
Oh, okay. Where is he going?
I don't know, but I know he got traded.
He's been sneaky terrible this year with Merrifield. Just as a side.
It's just Gio's projection just is going to keep going up. Except Bobby Witt's back, but if Bobby Witt was out, you can't play you can't play the Vinny Linguini tonight.
Well, you can because he's super, super cheap, but
Tuesday's the only day. You got to wait till Wednesday Prince Spaghetti night.
Tortellini Tuesday, right? Isn't that day?
Oh, I forgot about Tortellini Tuesday. All right, you can play him.
Where do we think Merrifield went? I'm curious where he went. I guess that'll come out in a second, I imagine. But yeah, Giolito does look a little bit better. Whoever they're going to throw in his place is, almost definitely not going to be good as Merrifield. And, Kansas City's kind of rough as is. Man, I'm getting all sorts of notifications now. All the trades are coming in, apparently. All the last second stuff. Merrifield, Lopez. Okay, maybe a few more coming in, sprinkling on through. Again, keeping our eyes on that. Anything else of notes as far as the stacks before we go around the horn? I don't think there's anything.
I did want to mention the Twins.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry, we all have that. The top 5, all of us share. I think there's 3 more we should mention.
Yeah,
go for it.
Yeah, I think the Twins should definitely be in a top 5 stack today. Matt Manning was a top prospect pitcher, but he's never really delivered in the major leagues. The Twins are a little cheaper too than like the Mets and Atlanta. So I think they're a little easier to stack. One thing I will say about the Mets is that, they're priced appropriately. They're going to be tough to stack today, especially if you're going to be building your teams the way that I'm going to be building them. That's double paying up the pitching. So I can't just jam in all the Mets that I want. So I think the Twins offer a little bit of salary relief. Whit being out of the lineup changes a little bit, but if Giolito's going to be chalky, I really wouldn't mind having some Royals stacks in my GPPs as some leverage. I think they let quite a few people down yesterday. And like I said, Giolito's going to have 15% ownership. I think they make for a really good leverage play today.
Merrifield to Toronto, fills a useful spot like with Espinal or Biggio, like to take a place one of those players. No Springer today. He's dealing with his injury still. Lourdes Gurriel leading off for the first time I can ever remember him batting leadoff there for Toronto. Let's go around the horn. Let's give our favorite plays position by position. By the way, just noting, an hour until the game starts in Washington, you have top of that morale there, Kirkwood, for Washington. No lineup. Nobody wants to play. I guess we're still sorting stuff out, obviously, as far as trades, and maybe Cruz got moves. I have no idea. But you're just trying to figure out who's going to play. In Minnesota, no lineup, which seems odd. Maybe we get Buxton. Maybe we don't. Maybe that's the holdup. Jake Cave is projected to play for them, who I feel like we haven't seen in a while. If we did, I missed it.
Yeah, Kirilloff. It's because Kirilloff went on the IL.
There you go.
And so I think Buxton's going to play tonight. I think they already kind of announced that he should be good to go today.
Yeah, that's right. Merrifield was one of the Royals that didn't get back. That's weird. He's traded to Toronto. I assume he has to get vaccinated. Well, not have, whatever. I assume that's part of the deal. Otherwise, they wouldn't trade for him. All right, because that wouldn't make any sense. He would miss half their games, all the home games. All right, let's talk about catchers. Let's get excited. I guess you could play Contreras. We'll see. Maybe something comes in as far as him. But we talked about how we don't like the Cubs anyway. But Tim, who do you like as far as catcher tonight?
If salary's not an issue, I really like going right back to Salvador Perez. His power, his batted ball skills are unmatched at the catcher position. We don't know who's going to be pitching for the Angels tonight, but I think that you could go with Sean Murphy. I don't think the Twins have a lineup out yet, but Garrett, you could chase a homer with Gary Sanchez at 3.3K. I think that price is really, really affordable, and I like that twin stack. So I think he makes for a really good cheaper option. The Brewers I don't think have a lineup out either, but I wouldn't mind either Narvaez or Caratini as a cheap option if you wanted to punt the position.
By the way, Jansen Junk, one of my favorite names in all of baseball, is starting for the Angels tonight. Syndergaard getting traded to Philadelphia. What do you want to add there, Kirkwood, as far as catchers?
Not a hell of a lot. I don't really care about catchers now. I'll go down and play Valoria at 2K against Lyles, batting 7th for the Rangers. If I need a punt, I always look to punt, but obviously he's not like my favorite play. But that's someone who I have in my lineup right now. Obviously, I can echo Salvador Perez is the best catcher overall with all, monster shot to center field last night. Like other guys just aren't capable of that really. I mean, Gary Sanchez has been pathetic. I played Sanchez last night. I would play him again tonight, but he has been pathetic all season. Narvaez, I like Sean Murphy. We can play with Oakland for our boy Lip. And I don't know. Who cares? It's catcher.
Yeah, if Navarez cracks that lineup for Milwaukee, he's probably one of the better dollar-for-dollar guys on DK to sort of make stuff work at 2.7K. But I like Perez versus Giolito. Giolito, big reverse split as well. I don't know if I have the money for it, but if I do, that's probably my favorite catcher. Let's talk about first base. I'll let you start it off here, Kirkwood.
First base. So, I really want to get Contreras is so cheap on Yahoo. I think I really want to get a confirmation like that we can actually play him tonight. Pete Alonso is number one for me, obviously, and he's going to be chalky, but a lot of people will play Vogelbach because the savings is tough to pay $5,800, especially with wanting Burns and 2 arms. So two top end arms, so it just makes it a little tougher to get him in. But I'll be playing him. Mountcastle I have right up there. Now that he's betting cleanup for 2,900. He's the power guy on the Orioles right now. I don't mind some of the top part of that Orioles lineup tonight for skinny stacks. With Mullins, Rowdy Tellez. We got since it is Tortellini Tuesday, we can play Vinny Linglini at 2,100. Thank you for that, Nate. Nate Lowe, 3,200 is cheap. Rizzo always gets forgotten in lefty-lefty matchups, but we saw what he did last night. He was the first, right out the gate, homered. Matt Olson. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go.
Yep.
Rowdy Tellez is my favorite first baseman on FanDuel. I'm going to be looking to get to the Brewers there on that site more than I will be on DK. Pete Alonso is probably your best raw point first baseman. Daniel Vogelbach is your cheaper option in that Mets stack. Vinny P, he's your punt if you really need it. But I think that tonight it might be better not to punt first base and try to get a little bit more upside. I punted with him last night, and last night was a little bit of a different slate.
I like that Vogelbach call. Just to reiterate, I pulled up the Nationals bullpen, and as far as I can tell, it's 9 righties. Which, they have no interest in winning ball games. Like, if you did, you'd carry a lefty or two, just because that's it's helpful to win games. But yeah, that's what's going on in that Nationals bullpen. And the combination of that and the fact that Davis was traded as well, and Ruff obviously not ready to play.
Was that not the worst play of the entire season last night? Was a 60% owned JD Davis? If I knew he was going to be, I played him, and I felt like when I saw 60% ownership, I was like, this is the worst play I've ever played. And
you knew there's a really good shot he gets the hook, right?
Of course.
I faded him last night. I still lost GPPs. I did cash some cash games, but I faded him. I don't know.
I cashed with him.
I didn't play Aaron Judge. I'm like, they got to stop pitching to this guy, right?
Yeah, I know. You'd think, right? Luckily, I did play Aaron Judge last night.
Yeah. Like I said, it was not a good day for your boy. But that's the fun thing about DFS. You get right back at it. You try it again.
Oh wow, Braves just got a little better.
What happened?
They got themselves Iglesias.
Raciel?
Yep.
Oh, Raciel Iglesias. All right. Yeah. Why not? Well, why not move him? Jesse Chavez was one of their arms in the pen, right? And Tucker Davidson's worthless.
Yeah, he was just like an innings filler guy. Chavez has been around forever with those glasses that he's on, pretty much wearing goggles out there.
The Braves should have reunited the Contreras brothers. I can't believe Contreras didn't get moved for Chicago. I guess that could still come in. I suppose that's still possible, but that's just I don't understand. Do we know who is playing for Whit Merrifield for Kansas City yet?
I haven't seen anything.
All right. I mean, it's not. I'm just thinking, and from a Giolito perspective, I imagine it's not somebody good. But all right.
I mean, what could possibly come in that could make you not like Giolito?
Well, I guess it's Giolito. It's not even about the Royals. It's about Giolito, right? It's just
I mean, like there's nothing that who they're going to add in this lineup. I mean, I'd love to hear it if there's one guy that like.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm out.
It's automatic.
George Bragg, is he working? He's got to be what 55, 60. He was a good hitter.
I mean, who's the lefty that the lefty first baseman that they always give platoon?
Prado.
No, that's another guy they were playing last night. He could play, yeah.
Yeah, Prado.
No, who's the guy? Who's the other guy? There's
O'Hearn you're thinking of.
O'Hearn, yeah.
He's not good. Maybe still Steve Balboni. I don't know if he's around. Maybe Steve Balboni's available. Second base, Tim. What do you got for me?
For DraftKings, my favorite second baseman is Jake Cronenworth, who's going to be playing. Hopefully he's in that lineup for Game 2 tonight. I think he's in an unbelievable spot against Jose Urena. Colton Wong, 3,900. It's a little bit concerning to me that their lineup is still not out, which makes me think something funny's going on. But we'll check on it later.
Oh yeah, they play in 50 minutes.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know why there's no lineup out, but I like Wong, assuming he's going to be in the top half of the lineup. I like Jorge Polanco quite a bit for that, for the Twins matchup. I guess if you really need a punt, you could do Jonah Bride, but I don't know.
You're not playing Jonah Bride.
No, I don't know. I mean, I always have to find like one big punt though if I double pay up usually. Yeah. So sometimes I have to play a pretty embarrassing player. So I mean, I might second base is a pretty weak position. So I might elect the punt there. But I really want to get to Jake Cronenworth. That's my favorite play on DK.
We got Mark in chat just saying, I hope the Yankees are low owned. I think everybody's gonna be low owned, right, Kirkwood? Like, is there one team that's gonna dominate ownership?
I think the Mets are gonna get a decent amount of ownership.
Okay, but it's not gonna be the Yankees. Like maybe Judge, but he's expensive, obviously.
I think the Mets are gonna be the highest owned, but I don't think ownership's gonna get out of hand tonight. So if you want to play the Mets, play the Mets. Like,
that's my thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be spread out. So like the top ones that we picked were like that. They're all going to be somewhat chalky, but it really shouldn't matter tonight because like as a stack total, everything should be like anywhere like 6 to 8% somewhere for all these guys. And that's talking about Atlanta, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Houston, Mets. I think that's like kind of the consensus top 5. Texas against Jordan Lyles is extremely cheap on DK. So they're like for like a skinny stack to go with your 5 Mets, that you can do whatever you want if you play them.
Oof, that lineup is that's rough. Tavares batting third. I mean 1-2 I like. I don't know if I can fully stack.
I've got 5, 6, 7 in my lineup. I got Duran, Calhoun, Valoria. But I got Strider, Burns, and then I got all the top Mets.
We live in the world of salary cap. Hey, Kirkwood, J3 in cash. Kirk, is Archer cash viable? I don't know what site he would possibly be cash viable for. We're not playing Archer in cash, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Burger Boy was telling it a minute ago. Him and Zoomer, I think they were saying must play in cash. I think it may have been. Are we getting trolled by 3 people now in chat? Is that what's going on? Is this a new one? Is he part of the? Is he part of? No, J3's been around a while.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think Archer is cash viable. I mean, you're
lucky
if you get 5
by
innings.
Chat and Naked HD, by the way. I don't know if you're watching this in chat.
Let's go.
Yeah, if you have anything to add as far as second, by all means, but we probably should got to move on as far as third, Kirkwood.
McNeil, but all right, third. Let's start it over there. I mean, Austin Riley upside. So like for the big upside bats, it's Devers if he makes the lineup. Ramirez, it's Riley. Hunter Dozier is cheap, third base or outfield eligible. Eugenio Suarez is cheap for a home run against Tyon potentially. Jose Miranda's been doing pretty well lately, swinging a good bat. I mean, oh wow, I didn't even just look at his game log. Like if over his last 7 games, one dud in there, but like surrounded by all extremely good scores for his price. So, he's got he came through yesterday too. So, you can do that. Josh Donaldson has been horrendous, but eventually he's going to homer. Could be tonight. He gets the platoon against Gilbert. Gilbert's all right. I don't know. Give me some more, Tim.
Tim, third base, what do you got?
Yeah, like I've said, I really like the Padres on DK. I really want to get to Manny Machado. Hunter Dozier, Kirk is right, is the punt. Devers, if he's in the lineup, I would imagine the Red Sox are going to be super, super low owned. So I think that he makes for a really, really good tournament play if he's in the lineup. I think I'm trying to get the Fanduel here for third baseman. I mean, one of the reasons why I might have to save money at second base is that I don't want to be saving money at third base. So it's definitely one of those premium positions. Jose Ramirez is again fine for tournaments. Alex Bregman, 3K on FanDuel. Oh no, he's on. His wife just had a baby, so I don't think.
Back. Oh, he's back. Yeah.
Back. Oh, okay, all right.
So not to cut you off, but we just got 2 lineups. The Twins, no Buxton. I don't know who told you Buxton was in, Kirk, but he's out. Arise, Correa, Polanco, Miranda batting cleanup.
You know what it is?
What's that?
Siege gave me his Minnesota Twins source.
Oh no! How many witnesses were there?
Unreal that he let me down.
What were the odds that was going to? And the Brewers came out. By the way, Sanchez in the lineup there, batting 8th if you want Sanchez, but he's been horrendous, but he's kind of cheap. Caratini is your catcher of choice tonight for the Brewers. So no Navarez, Yelich, Adames, Tellez, McCutchen, Wong, Renfro, Urias, Caratini, and then Taylor. So I'm not really sure what took him so long, but looks pretty standard to me as far as Milwaukee. Wait, yeah, I think it's a pretty standard. Austin Romine traded to the Reds. Okay, what did you trade for Austin Romine? Can't be anything, right? All right, we got to jump to shortstop. Tim, what do you got for me?
Yeah, Corey Seager is probably the top option across the board. Lindor or Seager should probably be your top exposures today across the industry. Bobby Witt makes for a really good tournament play. Carlos Correa, yeah, he's in the line. Yeah, Correa's batting second on that twin stack. I don't know if the Tigers lineup is out yet, but like Javier Baez, Chris Archer is not a cash game viable pitcher. He's a terrible pitcher at this point in his career. Baez is super cheap on Fanduel. He's only 2,600. You can play him at second base or shortstop. If you need the savings, that's a really good play. I think he's fine for tournaments, even on DK at 4,400. I think that will do it for me. Oh, and Adames. I mean, I really like the Brewers today. So,
Mark in chat, that's Jansen Junk. That is who's starting for Noah Syndergaard. Check out the RotoGrinders lineups page. I'll go ahead and drop it in chat. It's free. You guys can check it out. It's what I use throughout the show as well. Make it easier for y'all. I assume Baez, like, he's not going to get traded. Nobody wants that contract. It's already looking terrible. I assume he cracks that lineup today. Did you give your thoughts, Kirkwood, as far as short? Or you want to jump to the outfield?
I don't really care. Willie Adames or Javier Baez, and Paul DeJong is back in our lives and is going to be playing regular now and homered in his last two appearances out of nowhere. Let's go over to outfield. I really like Yelich. I talked about lefties against Wilson. Acuna is awful. I'm going to be playing him again, and I'm probably going to lose because this guy just can't do anything anymore. But
he's cost me so much money this year. Sorry, Kirk.
And it's such a fish play because he's so chalky every night too. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like
I keep playing him, and he hits like a single.
And even if he comes through, it's like not going to help us that much.
Right.
But the only good you pray that he gets walked and steals a base.
That's not great for 5,100 or 4K.
And he's my top play of the slate tonight, according to rankings. So let's get it. Brandon Nimmo, obviously Yordan Alvarez against Cutter Crawford. I asked my significant other if we could name our kid Cutter, and she threw that one out right off the bat. Aaron Judge. I don't know. Zoomer says he's going to regress probably. So, and Burger fan, so no Judge tonight is what they're saying. So, I guess we can't do that. But
he's got to regress a little bit. You can't homer every time. But yeah,
I know it's crazy. The cheap guy I'm playing is Cole Calhoun, just hoping to get lucky and hit that he goes yard. Jesse Winker is cheap. Cedric Mullins is a good play, I think, even though he's 5,300, and he's not going to get much play at all. I don't know. What do you got, Tim?
Yeah, I just don't know how we could fade Aaron Judge at this point. Like, I've been playing him, it's been working. I mean, like what Dean said, I don't know when they're gonna stop pitching to this guy. Like, it feels like I'm watching like Barry Bonds from years ago. Like, when are they just gonna intentionally walk him? But until they do that, I'm gonna keep rostering him. So I really can't get to guys that are super expensive because he's my huge spend at the outfield position. If I'm looking to just stack up for like tournaments, I think like Starling Marte, Brandon Nimmo, that whole Mets is real good. I honestly don't mind like a little Yelich, McCutchen, Renfro for tournaments also. a little stack there. Winker is probably cash game viable at 3,200. Dozier you could play at the outfield if you want to pay up at third. Victor Reyes 2,100 if you need somebody that's super cheap.
Crunch Time crew coming in just a few minutes. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, Dave Potts, SDL Cards, Shirley Cards. Super excited about the moves they have made. He's going to be, especially thrilled, especially enthralled to talk some baseball tonight. Taking you guys all the way up the lock. See a couple questions in chat. Going to get those in a second. I haven't asked just yet. Kindly hit the like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. I don't know where we're at as far as likes, but let's get them up. Just, it doesn't nudge it. Whatever adjective of choice works for you. Rangers holding on to Martin Perez. That's no surprise, I guess, because we're 20 minutes after the break. Hey, give me some homers, Kirkwood. Be as ambitious as you want to be. Who's going yard?
I was thinking. I got one more pitcher. I'm thinking that maybe Jansen Junk is in play now. Through 86 pitches, had 8 strikeouts. I mean, against KC in his last time. I mean,
he's like 6K or something. How much is Jansen Junk? He's got to be cheap.
He's 5.7K.
Okay.
Against at home against the A's, why not?
I don't think that's that bad of a take, really. I mean, if he's that cheap, 50.
He's somewhat of a prospect too.
Yeah, I don't think that's horrible for a large field setting.
All right. So what were you asking?
Home runs.
I don't know. Started off with Tim. I got
Tim homers.
Hunter Renfroe.
Oh my God, that was like my sneaky home run. I can't believe you led off with that.
Sorry. And then I'll go like Renfroe, Winker, and then I'm going to be just the chalk donkey and go Judge again.
All right, see him and raise him, Kirkwood.
Aaron Judge, Cedric Mullins. I'm going to try to manifest this one with Cole Calhoun because he's in my lineup for 2K. And then Kyle Tucker.
I like that Houston team. It's going to be, again, I mean, it's a huge slate, so a lot of teams are going to be ignored. I like Houston. I like St. Louis. And I think those teams are going to be kind of ignored. I saw somebody with a take on Twitter. They're like, Dylan Carlson must be feeling so good about himself now. The organization trusts him and loves him, so he's going to bang one out. Thompson kind of reverse splitsy, so I don't mind, Goldie and Arenado are going to be mostly neglected. But DeYoung, I think he had 19 or 20 homers in the minors. This wasn't completely out of nowhere, Kirkwood. Like the power was being flashed.
He's always had power.
Yeah.
That's all he has.
He'll strike out too, but like Keenan Thompson, that's the dude from SNL. He's not as good a pitcher as Keegan Thompson. But Keegan Thompson, not somebody I'm afraid of anyway. So I'm happy playing a little St. Louis. Baby narrative for Bregman. Yeah, he's back quickly. I don't know if he got any sleep. Who knows how that's going down, but I imagine hopefully everything is all good as far as the child. I saw a 2v2 in chat, and now I'm missing it. My apologies, but feel free to ask that to Roth, to Cards, to Dave Potts. Are they here? It looks like they're knocking on the door now, and let's get a check-in on Cards. Cards, you were on yesterday talking about your team, and you made a couple moves. You got Jordan Montgomery. It's not Chad Kuhl. But you got Quintana.
Yeah, apparently they've limited their trade exposure to veteran lefties. Happ and Lester last year, and now Quintana and Montgomery. That's all we can get. Veteran lefties.
It was a great for my team as well. Me and you, we really made some moves here with the Reds. Eric Hosmer. And Tommy Pham. I mean, come on. And then
I don't know what Boston's doing. They can.
They don't know what they're doing.
I don't mind Hosmer because they need a first baseman, and so they just took advantage of the situation. But it's absolutely who cares about Eric Hosmer.
I mean, my biggest takeaway from what the Cardinals did is that Dylan Carlson is now forever going to be linked as the guy that caused the Cardinals not to get Juan Soto, and that's not fair to Carlson. Carlson's never going to be Juan Soto. He could be a very good MLB player, but I hope it doesn't put too much pressure on him to where, he sort of tanks. Now, maybe like Dean was just saying, maybe he, takes that as motivation about how the organization values him and goes nuts. But I don't know. Weird deadline. Padres are just putting all their chips on the table, and we'll see where that goes with them.
Also, somebody feel free to tweet the Nationals asking if they're up because they still do not have a lineup.
It just came out.
It just came out.
Nobody wants to face Jacob deGrom. How gross is it? I imagine it's is Nelly Cruz in the lineup?
Yeah, he's batting cleanup.
So they didn't move Cruz, I guess.
Does he have BVP?
I don't know. I was just
I'm kidding.
I just don't understand why 49-year-old Nelson Cruz is still on the Nationals, but all right, whatever. It's a gross lineup. They're going to face deGrom. Roth, you're back. What's up, dude? You excited about the trade deadline? Your Rays, man. Spectacular stuff.
Did they do anything? I have no idea.
You got Jose Siri?
I know. I saw that and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is very mediocre. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's pretty mediocre. It's pretty meaningless, but you know, the dollars are not exactly flowing there in St. Pete, unfortunately. But Roth,
mostly,
go ahead.
Yeah, mostly when I saw the trade deadline and I just saw every Cards fan that I know just bitching about it, and I was like, I can't wait to get on a show with STL Cards to hear him bitch about this. But he was pretty chill.
Hey, to be fair, as I called this 3 weeks ago, I said that's all they're going to do. It's everybody gets their, chickens out of line thinking that we're going to get Juan Soto, and it just wasn't ever probably going to happen. So,
can I just ask Cheese one quick question? Cheese, how first of all, electric show on Crunch Time last night with you versus Cardi. I thought that was great.
That was
just
fun.
Throw that out there. Yeah. Anyways, Contreras, can I play Contreras or is there a deadline of when after?
Well, it can still get physically announced, but the trades are in, so the Cubs know 100% for sure if they traded him or not.
But we don't.
But we don't. But if he's still in the lineup when the games start, I don't think they're legally allowed to play him if they know they've traded him, which they do. So if he's playing, he's playing. As far as I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, just wild stuff, right, Dave? Why? That's just so weird that they didn't.
Yeah, it happens every year that I don't know, a couple things just don't get announced. It's the last time I heard it, and it was only a couple of years ago. Someone from the league was like, "Well, we get these faxes coming in." That's what they actually said.
Who's got a fax machine these days?
Maybe they get them by email now. I don't know how that works, but
moving up with the
technology.
technology.
I know that he has either been traded or he hasn't. Period. And so they can't play him right now if they've traded him.
Several sources, including producer Steve in chat, saying that Happ and Contreras are not getting traded. So, yeah, that appears to be the case. Roth, we're going to step aside. It's a big boy slate. I got lineups to make. I'm sure Kirkwood and Tim do as well. We appreciate y'all watching the first half of Grinders Live here. Taking on the home stretch, you got Dave Potts. I echo the sentiments as far as Kirkwood yesterday. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like a healthy disagreement. It was a good conversation. I hope that happens more going forward. And we also have STL Cards. Roth, tell us what's going on weather-wise. It's the start of the Fanduel-sponsored Crunch Time. It starts now. Go for it, Roth.
Indeed it is. By the way, big shout out to Dean. This is the best his mustache. Have you seen the fresh color? Did you see the color in that mustache, guys?
Yeah, he debuted that last night.
So I missed that. But this is the first time I have seen it. It looks good. I kind of want to see the full beard now, Dino. Looking pretty sharp. I approve. Hey, this is it. This is indeed a Crunch Time, sponsored by Fanduel. Fanduel Single Entry Series, by the way, ongoing. It's back. $50K in bonus cash is up for grabs. This is the second week. Already one down, but you still got 5 weeks left in the contest. Top 4 scores each week count to your combined score. You're basically just getting bonus cash on top of what you're already winning. So you should be in it. It should be maxed out every day. Top finisher gets an all expenses paid trip to the Single Entry Series Championship in Chicago, September 9th. Shot at the $10,000 grand prize. Are both of you gentlemen taking part in the Single Entry Series?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we always have to, support that series. It's been great for several years now. So, shout out to FanDuel for keeping
last
that running.
week I missed a couple because it filled, and now I've been going in early and make sure I get in it.
And that's the thing. By the time I say this, it's generally been filled. So, make sure
but
that
it's
you're
good to
getting
say
in
it.
there.
Yeah, tomorrow morning when you wake up, just even if you don't have to know what your lineup is yet, but go enter yourself in it.
Reserve. I do that all the time. Find the tournaments you want to be in, reserve, and then figure it out from there. Okay, joined by a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz. Apparently, when I was gone, there was a mass fight and disagreement. So now I need you two to battle. We have to we're gonna have a cheese versus cards tonight. So,
Yeah, because I'm going to tell him that, the Cardinals didn't do anything wrong at the deadline. So that'll be our argument.
I don't necessarily think they did either. I think Montgomery was a good pickup for him. It would have been nice to see him maybe make one more impactful move, but that's just the fan talking.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the way I see, like with the Soto thing, like, first of all, I don't think they were ever actually in it, honestly. But even if they were, I don't think they're not the team that was going to re-sign him. And they're realistically not going to win this year, probably even with Juan Soto. Like, I think they're good.
Yeah. So that leaves you 2 years, and, you don't want to empty the cupboard for 2 years of Soto. So it wasn't brokenhearted about it. Just, you kind of get your hopes up when you see the rumors, but patience pays off. So hopefully some of their young players will develop over time and maybe turn into the next Juan Soto.
It's interesting to hear that from like legitimate smart baseball fans, because all I've seen on Twitter is like, oh, the Cards they're throwing it away. They don't care. Or they hate.
I mean, everybody.
That's all I see.
Your average fan is just going to look at everything from a win now perspective,
Right?
And from what they were talking about, if you equated what the Padres gave up to what the Cardinals could have given up, two of their best young hitters in the major leagues, their number one prospect, who I think is up to 9th in the overall prospect rankings now, another guy that's maybe a top 30 prospect. So, and all these guys are, cost controlled by the team for several years, and you'd be trading that 4 or 5 players for basically 2 years and a couple of months of Juan Soto before he's a free agent, which
seems crazy.
I mean, if you don't win a World Series in that time frame, then it really looks bad, especially if some of those prospects pan out. Now, if the prospects don't pan out and they all suck, it's just, baseball's a tough sport, because unlike, basketball, you kind of have an idea of who the good players are going to be right out of college. Baseball's a little bit more of a crapshoot as guys see pitchers that have, I didn't see a slider like that in college or high school. So it's tougher to gauge prospects in baseball, which I think is part of the reason why fans just want to say, win now, go get Soto at all costs. And, I can see both sides of it. It's a business, and I wouldn't want to be a GM at this time of year, because nobody's going to be happy with you no matter what you do. So,
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about this slate. There's no real weather concerns. There's a low chance of a late start or delay in both Pittsburgh and Atlanta. I don't expect either of them to have either of those issues. Does that concern you at all, Cheese, when I say that?
I mean, that is probably the 2 chalk pitchers on the slate are in those 2 games.
Naturally, of course.
That's Corbin Burns and Spencer Strider.
Yeah. Do it anyways. That's kind of the motto, is just like, yes. And we've been getting lucky. I've said this maybe 30 times in a row, where I've just said, hey, do it anyways, and you're probably going to be fine. And it's worked out. Eventually that's going to burn you, but it's probably not tonight. So do it anyways. And I think it's going to work out.
Done.
Yeah, right. Eventually it won't. And then I'll be the dumbest idiot. I can't believe it. That's how it's going to go down that one night. But, it's probably not tonight. So let's stick with it. Cheese, you want to go around and talk about the slate in general?
Yeah, in general, it's wildly spread out. Like I used a lot of words like murky and vague, and I don't know what to do. And the offensive side, like, you could put a dozen teams at the top of your list, and I don't think anyone could really argue with you. The pitching pool is a lot narrower, and it'll be pretty condensed ownership on a few guys. But with the hitting, you play what you like. It's not going to be hard at all to get over the field on it.
You want to dive it right into the pitching, and you kind of, spoiler alert, already told me who you like.
So yeah, on the sites are pretty different with the pricing. So on FanDuel, Corbin Burns is 11.3. And Kevin Gausman is 10.3. And then Spencer Strider is only 8.3. Like, Burns and Gausman, I do like better than Strider for sure, just like straight up.
But not $3,000 better?
Yeah, that's a lot of money on this slate. There's also a lot of builds you can make with Burns and with Gausman. But like my go-to build, I have more Strider than anyone else simply because of the salary. And I think he will be probably the chalkiest guy because of that. I feel like Christian Javier probably gets kind of left out on FanDuel, and he is he's kind of turned into a distant fourth place for me for some reason. Like I just don't trust him nearly as much as Gausman, and he's so much more expensive than Strider. So he's honestly just a leftover. And then this is like everything else is much more a DK conversation. But I really think that if Jansen Junk with that name had been listed as the starter this morning, I think he'd be chalk. And I like him. I'm playing a weird amount of Jansen Junk. And if I'd known an hour earlier, I would have even more. You don't really need him on FanDuel, but you can play him anyway.
I'm about to take that away from you because the Angels just announced that Suarez is pitching.
Did they really?
Literally 30 seconds before you said that.
That's ridiculous.
So get your junk out of here.
Yeah. Now all my lineups suck. I mean, not that much, but that does. Bummer.
I imagine he was cheap enough so that now you're not just swapping him with someone else. You got to redo everything.
Yeah, he was 5,700 on DraftKings.
Yeah. So, with that, on FanDuel, you just simply don't have to go cheap. You could do like Lucas Giolito is going to get some play. I don't like him on FanDuel. Like in MME, sure, throw a little Lucas Giolito, but you really don't need to go below Strider. So now on DraftKings, you still don't really need to go lower than Strider. He's the same 8,300. Javier is 87. Gausman's 95. It's too easy to get Burns at 10-1. Personally, I have 0 Jacob deGrom. I wouldn't yell at you for playing him. Like the ceiling is low. Like we don't have an official pitch count. I would be stunned if he goes more than 80 pitches. I would be stunned, honestly, if he goes more than 70, 75. But like 75 pitches for deGrom could easily be 5 scoreless innings with 8 strikeouts. So I wouldn't tell you can't play him. I'll just tell you that I'm not playing him. Just play Burns and Gausman. That's my take on it. Now, I'm going to say you're allowed, air quotes, to play Spencer Howard because he's below 6K, but you don't need that salary and he's not good. So my lean would be, if you can't quite get to 2 of the guys at 8-3 and above, that's where the Lucas Giolito weird, uncomfortable chalk comes in. I like Wainwright, I guess, a little better than Giolito. And I even like Keegan Thompson better than Giolito. But ideally, I think you just get up and play Strider at the low end as much as possible.
Okay. Good stuff. Cards, you want to talk about your favorite pitcher plays here?
Yeah, I mean it is fairly straightforward with Strider and Burns, and and Strider on FanDuel would be my favorite as well. Put Gausman third, and then basically everybody else behind that top group. I think Javier is okay. He's shown more strikeout ability of late. Boston, they're kind of in flux right now. Made a bunch of trades. Nobody really knows what they're doing. So I think Javier is okay, but it's not like he's going to be unowned. I agree on the thoughts on deGrom, 70, 75 pitches. On FanDuel, it's a little too risky with just the one pitcher. And on DK, he's the most expensive guy. So weird to see his strikeout prop, though, at 6.5.
So Cards, I'm sorry, I missed. Why is he only at 75 pitches or whatever?
It's his first start of the season.
And we're certain that he's only going to get that many pitches? Or?
There's no way the Mets are going to extend him. I mean, this is a guy that is the best pitcher in baseball, and for the last 2 years, he's been fighting to stay on the field. And there's no way, there's 0 chance the Mets go out and extend him against a AAA Nationals lineup. I mean, it's just, if he throws more than 80 pitches tonight, I would be legitimately shocked.
And so I imagine in his rehab starts, he hasn't gotten
67 was his max.
Okay. Right.
No way he's thrown over 80 pitches.
Okay.
0 chance. Now, 70 pitches against the Nationals that no longer have Bell and Soto. I mean, who's to say he can pitch 6 innings on 70 pitches and strike out 10 guys and walk nobody? But he's more expensive than Burns on DraftKings, and I'm not taking that chance with just one pitcher on FanDuel. So if you want to do it. Just know that there's not the 15K. Like, this would be a totally different conversation if it was a fully stretched out, fully healthy, he's been pitching, he's been back for a month, Jacob deGrom. He would be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate at these prices. But just the circumstances tonight. I never like to play a guy that I think is going to get capped at about 5 innings. So, I mean, everybody can come to their own conclusions, but don't expect more than 75 pitches.
Okay, give me more pitchers.
Don't love a whole lot else tonight. I mean, the mid-range is just kind of, you get below Strider, and there's just a lot of guys that you just don't have the big ceiling with a Tyler Anderson. McKenzie's a little expensive. Wainwright is fine, but again, you're not going to get a ton of Ks with him. So it kind of falls into no man's land. I do like Giolito maybe a little bit better than Cheese does on DraftKings, where he's 6,800. But I also don't love playing him as chalk. But that Kansas City lineup now with Merrifield traded, just outside of Sal Perez, there's really nobody you need to be afraid of in that lineup. So Giolito would kind of be the last guy on my list there.
Okay. Look, we talked about Cheese, the guy who you wanted to play who's out. The pitcher, what was his name?
The old junk wall.
The old junk. And then I saw in the chat, somebody said, okay, well, now I'm interested in the opposing offense. Is Suarez worse?
Yes, but the opposing offense is Oakland. And Suarez is not that bad. Like Oakland's one of those in MME. Toss in one or two because they're cheap. I have 2 Oakland stacks on DK and maybe 1 or 2 on FanDuel.
Would you have more if you knew that it was Suarez and not Junk?
No. I actually have them from when I thought it was Syndergaard and was assuming it would just be a bullpen game. Like my assumption all day has been, and they'll just throw a random bullpen game. No, they're still at best 22nd place on this slate.
Okay. It's not very good. Okay. Well, talk to me about the stacks, and generally cards you would go first, but I've already been talking to Cheese. So Cheese, talk to me about your favorite stacks here.
Okay. So really it is so spread out that do not feel like if your favorite 3 stacks are not mentioned in our favorite 10, that's fine. There's no difference. Personally, the Mets and the Brewers are my 2 favorites. The Twins are next, followed by probably the Rangers. And I'm just going to stop there and say those are my favorite stacks.
None of those are like the chalk stack, or you're not even worried
there
about
is
the
no such thing.
Great. Okay. All right. Cards, you in agreement, or you have completely different ones? Since it's
no, definitely agree on there is no chalk stack tonight. I think agree on Milwaukee. I'm a little less high on the Twins now with Buxton out of the lineup again. So I don't mind them, but they kind of moved out of my top 3 or 4 this afternoon. Agree on Texas, primarily because Texas is maneuverable with salaries because outside of Seager and Semien, everybody's pretty cheap. So you can build a nice Texas stack with good pitching around it, and I think that has value just over and above the fact that Texas could score some runs tonight. Would probably move Atlanta up to that top couple now, and if you're looking for a sneaky team, good offense that's getting no love tonight, it would be Toronto for me. We've got them right now basically all under 5% ownership. They don't have a super high total, and it's not like Rasmussen's a gas can. Tampa's got an okay bullpen, but just an offense that, if they get to hitting and they get 6 or 7 runs in the first few innings, then you're not facing their better bullpen arms. You're facing, whoever's there for mop-up duty, and that's kind of what you're looking for in a stack. So agree on the Mets, Brewers. They're probably the Mets, Brewers, Braves are probably the chalky-ish, but again, there really isn't one tonight. And then probably Texas and Toronto if you're looking for something that less people are trafficking to.
Okay. Well, we've got 19 minutes or so let's go position by position. Starting off with a little catcher talk. And I want to lead it off with a question. Carolina Guy card says, FanDuel, I need a cheap catcher first base with $2,300. So start us off there.
All right. I'll have to sort by that. Hang on. I got to get that up on my screen because with catcher, catcher's going to be really spread out tonight. I think you're going to see people paying up for Perez, basically the ones that aren't playing Giolito because Perez has been so good. Gary Sanchez is fairly cheap. He is hitting 8th, so that will probably put a little less ownership on him. I do like Adley Rutschman, but he's 5,400 on DraftKings. So again, the ownership's going to be spread out. I do think, people haven't really been thinking of Wilson Contreras, kind of presuming that he's going to be traded, and he wasn't. So I think Contreras is interesting in tournaments tonight for the Cubs as kind of a one-off. You don't need to stack the Cubs against Wainwright, but and Sal Perez is a guy that you can play on FanDuel if you want to, even though you don't need to play a catcher there. As to the 2,300 or less, there's not a whole lot of guys down there at first base or catcher that are that cheap. So I'll probably just default to Pasquantino at 2,200. Again, even though he's facing Giolito, he's really cheap on FanDuel. I prefer him over like the limited upside of guys like Miguel Cabrera. I suppose Yasmani Grandal could fit that bill as well.
Okay. Cheese?
So hold on one second here. I will start by saying I did not hear a word that Cards just said. I'm sure it was all fantastic, though. Just
it was
getting rid of the rest of that Buxton that I had in there.
He kind of shocked me with Rutschman's price.
I love
for some reason he's really expensive.
I remember when this guy just came in, he was like 2,500 or something, and we were very excited. And
yeah, and then when he was up around 4,500 is probably where I would say he probably should be based on where everyone else is. I love Rutschman. I like him on FanDuel where he's cheap. If you're going to play an Oakland bat, that's what we were just talking about with now it's Suarez instead of Junk. If you're going to play one Oakland bat, it's probably Sean Murphy at catcher. And another, like a team just in general that nobody's going to play that's awesome is the Dodgers. Don't have a lineup yet, but play some Will Smith.
Okay. That's all you got?
That's all I got.
First base.
First base is fantastic. Every position is pretty fantastic. My two favorite plays close to on the whole slate anywhere is Alonso and Rowdy Tellez. I think everybody likes them, but I still don't. They're just not going to have chalk congregating anywhere. So I don't think you really worry about the ownership. You just play who you like. On FanDuel, I don't mind some double Mets first base with Vogelbach and Alonso. Matt Olson is pretty great. I like Anthony Rizzo. I like Christian Walker for kind of underpriced home run. Nate Lowe. He's not Brandon Lowe. He is Nate Lowe.
Good job.
For Texas, I like pretty well. I like everyone here, but I think those are the highlights. Tellez and Alonso first, definitely.
If it helps, I think that Nate Dogg speaks in a very low tone when he sings, like when he raps. So Nate is low, and then Brandon is loud. If that helps you remember it, Juice.
Yeah. Oh, I know it. I just looked at the name and was like, I was thinking Brandon. Yeah.
Just remember Nate Dogg, and that'll.
Well, that's I say that's obviously not going to help me because now I have to figure out what that is.
All right,
Cards. A whole new thing for no reason.
Cards, you want to talk some first?
Yeah, I agree on those guys. Like the Mets guys, tagged up Tellez today. Milwaukee's facing Bryce Wilson, who could be the worst starting pitcher in the league that's gotten multiple starts this year. Plenty of competition for that title, but he's definitely up there. If you're looking maybe for guys that Cheese didn't mention, Keegan Thompson is a little reverse splitsy at times, so I think Paul Goldschmidt's fine. But I did mention Toronto earlier, and anytime I can get Vlad Guerrero at 2% ownership, I think that's a fine play in tournaments. So those are a couple of my favorite low-owned pivots.
Okay, take us to second.
All right. Second base is a position where I think you can probably land in the mid-range tonight. I don't think you need to, spend top dollar for one of the most expensive guys. I mean, you look at Altuve. I think he's fine, but he's the most expensive guy on the board. He's 5,500 on DraftKings. Brandon Lau facing Gausman. You don't need him. It's just a position where Jorge Polanco's been struggling lately. I think he was 0 for his last 18 headed into last night. So just land in the mid-range and save some salary is kind of where I've ended up at second base. I think Colton Wong is fine. I think Nolan Gorman is fine as well. And then, you can punt all the way down to a Odor or somebody like that if you want to. But most of my lineups are landing in the mid-range there. If you're playing on DraftKings, they do have the second game of that Padres doubleheader in there. So, you could go with somebody like Cronenworth, but you do have to be mindful of that lineup that they could maybe sit somebody in the second game of the doubleheader because he did play in the first game. But I'm going to land in the mid-range, Gorman and Wong on quite a few lineups.
Okay. Cheese, I want your take. Also, I'll note one lone thunderstorm just popped up about 3 miles from Atlanta, and it's stationary. And if that popped up over the ballpark, I'd legitimately be worried about the game getting maybe postponed. Probably not. But as it's the only storm in all of the entire state, I think we're going to be fine. And that's just kind of how it goes. So
All right.
No change, but holy
I'm just
smokes.
going to pretend you didn't say anything.
I think that's the right move. I think that's the right choice.
I mean, that's what I do. My whole life is pretending Roth didn't say anything.
That's
But
90% of the time. That's the right choice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So second base is the one position that's not like super fantastic, other than catcher. Kind of like Card said, it's not really that wonderful to spend up. Like Altuve's fine, but Cronenworth on DK, I love. We didn't mention the Padres because they're only on DK, but that's a very good stack in general. Nolan Gorman is fine for a cheap power shot. On FanDuel, Javi Baez is fine for a cheap power shot. But if there's any one position that's just fill in last and use a guy in your stack, it's second base.
Okay. Take us to third.
Last I looked, we're still waiting on a Boston lineup. Devers is maybe going to be back tonight, which makes Devers, Jose Ramirez, and Austin Riley are like 3 very expensive on both sites. Really just can't be popular because of the salaries. And they're all awesome. I like Devers the best, honestly, if he plays, especially with this lineup not even out yet. On FanDuel, you've got a really cheap Moncada if you need something cheap. You also got Josh Donaldson. And Alex Bregman is back. Those guys are all pretty cheap. DraftKings, you can do these expensive guys are over 5K. Like Suarez is kind of the mid tier along with Donaldson and Jose Miranda that I'm okay with. Hunter Dozier, Heimer Candelario if you need like cheap stuff. But I really like the spend up to be different.
Okay. Cards.
Yeah, I really like Ramirez tonight. He's the guy I was kind of expecting him maybe to be a little lower owned than the other top end third baseman, but he's the guy that I have the most exposure to for sure amongst those spend up guys. They're all fine. Certainly Riley, with your Atlanta stacks. You can go with a cheap guy like Ezekiel Duran on DraftKings at 2,700, hitting 5th for Texas tonight, I think is okay. Otherwise, I pretty much agree with most of the guys that Cheese mentioned there. And I think over the last couple minutes, the Dodgers lineup might have came out trying to
I saw
some of these.
I don't know who's in it. I know that it came out.
Betts, Turner, Freeman, Smith, Alberto hitting 5th tonight. Thompson, Lux, Barnes, and Bellinger. So Muncy out of the lineup tonight.
Well, darn.
Okay. Take us to shortstop.
Yeah, shortstop. Corey Seager's really good, so I'll take the cheese line tonight.
There you
since
go.
I got to start a shortstop. So
I'm done. Just just move on from here.
Yeah, really. We both mentioned that we like Texas as a stack. We know we know Cheese likes Seager. So, to me, if you're spending up, it's definitely him. I don't see a reason to go. I mean, Adames, Dansby, Swanson, Correa's a little cheaper on FanDuel, but Lindor. I just, if you're spending up, just play Seager. Maybe Tim Anderson if you're looking to be for a GPP pivot, it would be him. And to me, either you spend up for Seager or maybe somebody else in a GPP, or you go cheap with somebody like Paul DeYoung who's back for the Cardinals. He's hit 2 home runs his 2 games back. He's never going to be consistent. The fan base kind of hates him, but he does have pop and he's still really cheap. He's 3K on DraftKings. So to me, it's either a spend up or you punt DeYoung's 2K min salary on FanDuel. So to me, it's a pretty easy position tonight. Either you're paying for Seager or you're punting with DeYoung, who's sitting 5th for the Cardinals.
Okay, Cheese, I got to do another weather update before I hit you, and I know that's not very fun. There's a few little downpours around New York. Do we want a pitcher in New York? Probably.
No.
Great. That's good. I'm talking a 10-15% chance of a delay, but there's just a few little downpours that shouldn't be there but are there, that are just starting to pop up. So not out of the question we get a delay there, but the bats are 100% fine.
I'll make you a deal, Roth. If you just feel like you need to delay a game just to make yourself happy, delay that New York game, and then everything's fine.
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay.
I know how you get. Sometimes you're like, I just want to.
I just want something. I want to feel important. Yeah. All right. Take us through shortstop. Cheese.
Shortstop is fantastic. I've been saying this pretty much all year, and it is very true tonight. I love Seager, of course. I love Lindor. I love Carlos Correa. I love Trey Turner. I love Willie Adames. That's a lot, and I truly love all of them. But I also really like Dansby Swanson and Bobby Witt. Tim Anderson is a great position. But if I can only play one guy, it's going to be either Seager or Lindor.
Okay.
I can only play one guy. Let me name two.
Very helpful stuff here. If I can only play one, it's going to be these two. All right. Outfield.
I don't know if people are spinning up to like Judge and maybe throw Alvarez and Ohtani and some other guys in there. If I can only spin up on one guy, it's Alvarez over Judge.
Why?
Because Alvarez is facing the guy that lines up better with him 1-1. But by all means, if you have money sitting around, play either Judge or Alvarez, or Acuna's a little cheaper. All these guys are great. I like Kyle Tucker the best for the salary. I don't feel like you just have to spend up the outfield because the mid tier is pretty strong and there's cheap stuff too. That mid tier is a little different depending on the sites. Like I really like Cedric Mullins, but more so on Fanduel where he's kind of cheap. I like Brandon Nimmo a lot on Fanduel. Those guys are both priced up on DK a little bit. Eloy Jimenez and the White Sox are terrible. And I still don't understand why. Like it just looks like they should be good and they are not. But I do like Eloy. Jesse Winker's real cheap on both sites. I like all the Milwaukee bats. Renfroe, Yelich, McCutchen. Stack them together, play them on their own. There's dirt cheap stuff if you need it. You need it more on DK. I think Cole Calhoun is probably my favorite dirt cheap hunt for a homer. But there's plenty of stuff out there.
Okay. Cards, we got 5 minutes left. Give me your outfielder thoughts.
Yeah,
here.
you got a $2,100 Nick Gordon on DraftKings as well. That hitting fifth tonight, he'll get some ownership. Not the best if you're home run hunting, but in that offense, if you like Minnesota tonight, you can play him. Agree on the Mullins take. I think Eloy Jimenez is fine as well as a mid-range play. Dylan Carlson, if you want to buy the narrative of the Cardinals sticking behind him. Otherwise, I think we've hit on most of them, and I know we've probably got questions rolling in, so I will defer.
Okay, let's do it. Scrolling up a little bit, not all the way. All right, Cards, starting with you. FanDuel GPP, last man in, Mullins or Renfroe?
I like Mullins on FanDuel.
Okay. Achilles, FanDuel Cash, Cheese, this one's coming to you. Witt, Winker, or Moncada Yelich?
I would go Moncada Yelich.
Okay. Raj says, hey, did the Royals lineup just change? Did we see?
Yeah, because it had come out with Whit Merrifield, so they had to change it without him.
And then he got traded to Toronto, and when they visited Toronto a few weeks ago, he wasn't vaccinated, which means he couldn't play up there. So he has apparently changed his stance on that, or he would not be going to Toronto.
Weird. Okay. FanDuel GPP. This is from Alec. Cards, Burns with Odor and Guillermo, or Gaussman with McNeil and Urias. Both options complete 4x4 stacks.
The second one.
Nice. Dan Jan, Cheese. Is Hunter Dozier okay as a cheap one-off bat? DK single entry. I'm running Blue Jay stacks with Gaussman Strida.
Yeah, I have Dozier as a one-off.
Great. John Tom, FanDuel GPP Cards. Outfielder last piece, Ortega, Nick Gordon, or Rosario, or someone else?
Give me Nick Gordon.
I want a home run pick from everybody here. Cheese, you get to go first.
We'll take Alonso.
Cards?
I mentioned I like Toronto tonight, so it's a night where you can get those Toronto home run props at a little higher odds than usual. So I will go with Vladdy tonight.
Okay. Well, I know everyone knows that all I do is pick home run winners, and the answer tonight is, again, Eugenio Suarez. Back to the well on Eugenio Suarez. Is he facing a good pitcher, Cheese? I have no idea.
Sort of. Jamison Tyon, yeah. But like
worried.
he's one of those, sneaky. Always he can always hit home.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
You should not be.
Okay, Crazy Coop, DK single entry, Cheese, Yanks or Stros full stack?
Yes, I have the Astros slightly ahead. Both are good.
Okay. Chinatown says, Cheese, I guess I'm going to give this to you. Neither of you play cash, right?
I not.
Yeah. But anyways, any reason that 8-3 Strider isn't a lock button in cash? I think the answer to that is no.
No, he's definitely a cash play.
Weather would be the no reason if that's a concern. It's the only concern.
Not enough to, nope. Lock him in. Raymond, FanDuel GPP, Mullins and Corey Seager. Cards is for you. FanDuel GPP, Mullins and Corey Seager, or Correa and Judge.
First one.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, Cheese, Salpal, Devers, and Nimmo, or Alonso Moncada Acuna.
Alonso Moncada Acuna.
Okay. Cards. Jay Sam says, I feel like this is a ridiculous question, which is a good way to start out a question. But in a FanDuel large field tournament as a pivot, do you feel Wainwright can compete with Strider with the length he can go if things go right and there's some strikeout upside versus the Cubs?
It's a fair point. The length is the reason. I mean, the Cardinals generally will let him. I mean, he's gone 110, 115 pitches. So that is a fair point, but you do need things to break your way. I would like it better if the Cubs would have traded Happ and Contreras, and that lineup would be weaker. So it's not crazy. It wouldn't be my first choice tonight, but I don't hate it.
Okay. Just a note, there's the tiniest little shower about to go over New York. It's not insane that they late start the game for like 7 minutes. Don't worry if that happens. It's absolutely fine. Okay, FanDuel Cash, Cheese. Miranda Seager Jordan or Vogelbach Correa Judge?
Pretty good on both sides. I would Miranda Seager Jordan.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, Cards, Yelich, Jimenez, or Tucker Winker?
Was that a cash question?
It was, I believe.
I would go Tucker Winker.
Okay. With that, we've hit the lock. I got to talk to you both before we go about Judge. Whenever we talk about who's the best hitter in baseball, Cheese, you know whose name you have not said?
The best home run hitter in baseball. Is not.
But he's also hitting like
hitter.
300.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. Like I would not argue one iota if you want to say he's the best hitter in baseball.
And what he's doing, I just saw like he's on pace to break the home run record if you take away all of the people who were rubbing HGH on their testicles. Like what he's doing is insane, right?
It absolutely is, yes. And to be fair, the last time we've had this "who's the best hitter in baseball" conversation, it was before this last like 2-3 weeks is when
crazy surge.
He went to this next level.
Yeah.
That prior to that, he was clearly not quite there. If you're literally talking best overall hitter in baseball,
and I put that in one of my articles over the weekend, and they used it as like a little snippet for a tweet, teaser that I wrote I wrote Judge is the best hitter in baseball right now, literally meaning right at this very moment.
Today,
and then it devolved into this argument of like 3 people going back and forth over whether Yordan Alvarez or Aaron Judge is better in the replies, which was glorious. But, if you just look even now for the whole season at OPS, on base plus slugging, Alvarez is still ahead of him, which surprised me. It's close, but
that is surprising. Yeah,
Alvarez is at 1.081 and Judge is at 1.064 and Goldschmidt's at 1.012. So those are the only 3 guys above 1,000.
There's a lot of stats where Alvarez still does look better than Judge.
Yeah, I mean everything basically other than the home runs, and Alvarez missed time as well. So
Cheese, what is the home run single season record for you that he needs to beat?
That's a good question. I
Like,
would
what
say
is it?
61. I'd say 61.
61. Like, if he
Yeah.
hits 61 homers, like, he's the guy for you.
Yeah.
It's a
Cards?
pointless conversation because you're never going to have the world agree on this.
But I'm just interested. I'm not a baseball guy, so I never cared about the cheating scandal. I was like, yeah, let them all dope up. I don't care. I want to see home runs. But now that I see it later, it pisses me off so much that this guy is doing something that could be history breaking, but not because of the scandal. So, Cards,
yeah, it's pretty weird. Like, you've got these like the 6 top seasons are all like very clearly asterisked over this whole next group.
right?
And there's no right or wrong answer to any of it. But like, to me, if he hits 62, I would say that counts to me.
Yeah. Cards, you got to take here.
So fine, I agree. It just doesn't mean anything. I mean, I watched the McGuire home run chase, with Sosa as a Cardinals fan. I mean, it was riveting at the time as a teenager, and it brought baseball back, right? Baseball after the strike in '94, the whole deal with the Expos, they were going to win the World Series, and then, Expos are no more. And that home run chase is what brought baseball back. So it kind of saved the league at the time, even though, I'm sure a lot of our viewers are probably too young for this, but baseball might not have ever been the same without that. So, and I was watching the trade deadline coverage earlier, and I think it was Dan Plesac that said, they said, do you despise the hitters of that time because those are the guys you had to face? And he said, well, everyone else had to get them out too. I was at the same disadvantage as the other pitchers were trying to get those guys out. Sure. So there's no point in whining about it, was kind of his take. It sucks for the records and all that stuff because now there's always going to be this, what's the true number, and
right.
it does kind of suck, but
yeah. Okay.
If
that's what bugs me.
If Carp had played the whole season, he would be at 74.
He would be at 100
homers,
probably.
Yeah. All right. With that note, we're gonna get out of here. Glad to get your guys' takes on that, honestly. So for Cheese, for Cards, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys. We appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. Hit that like button. You have been crunched.